I know you don't like Nietzsche so much, but he said, "Yeah, I'm sorry for my saying."
We've had conversations before this one.
Yes, but and he said that one person rejected all the gods and he supported one god, and they cursed him. Roman Empire and the Jesus, the relation between them. So actually, the fake one can be the truth in the future. It's very important, actually.
But you don't have evidence that so Nietzsche is talking about Jesus, and you don't have evidence that Jesus rejected all the other gods.
In the Roman Empire,
You don't have evidence.
Yeah.
And it's not clear. It's not clear even at that time that Judaism was exclusively was contemptuous of other monotheistic traditions. There was a lot of syncretism going on. A lot more than we would like to recognize today. We want simplicity. There isn't simplicity in human belief because people are hedging their bets. Religion, when it starts off, is a sort of insurance policy. I make sure my crop will the stuff I planted will grow by making little sacrifices to the gods before spring comes round. And if the crops don't grow, then I clearly didn't make the right sacrifice or make enough of a sacrifice.
Yeah.
And if the enemy is attacking, then I need to make a bigger sacrifice.
Yeah.
And so people in the ancient world, they thought, oh gosh, maybe the other people are right. For example, here in Turkey, you have the iconoclast controversy, which doesn't occur in the West. So next to Hagia Sophia, there's a little church, I forget what it's called, and it's got no icons in. It's got a great cross on one on the eastern wall. That's it, because that was an iconoclast structure.
Yes.
And the iconoclasm occurs because the Greeks look at the sudden waves of the Turks coming towards the Byzantine Empire, and they think, they claim to have the same God as us, but is there something wrong? Maybe they're taking care of the second commandment, depending on how you work out the 10 commandments. They're taking care of the second commandment. You should have no graven image, and we've got graven images everywhere. Get rid of them. And so that is a form of syncretism, isn't it?
Yes.
And eventually it's defeated by the wonderful Gregory Palamas. It's defeated by John Damascene, John of Damascus, who and John of Damascus is celebrated at the beginning of Orthodox Christian Lent by people parading their icons in the church. Icons then become not allowed, but central to the cult of Orthodox Christianity.
Wow,
and of course it's rejected by Islam.
Really?
Well, Islam rejects it first. Islam rejects it in the 7th century because it's looking at the text, possibly, of the 10 Commandments, which says you shall have no graven image. So, no graven image. But then you go around the mosques and you see these beautiful works of art. And for example, there's a mosque in Tirana, in Albania, which has got sort of paintings of landscape paintings on the outside of the door. Beautiful.
Yeah, well, I haven't been there, so I hope I can. I will take a chance to see all of them. So,
and people, and also once you get it. So if you move into that period, for example, in Albania, everybody is into marrying. You've got Christians marrying Jews. You've got Muslims marrying Christians, and so what religion is actually occurring? You're getting a mixture. No matter whether one religion is preferred, what you get is a mixture. Yes. And you find, even in Istanbul, I find people have got little things of the evil eye, which surely is not Islamic.
No, it's not. It's from the pagan
Well, I think,
pagan tradition.
yeah, and it's picked up by Greek Orthodoxy in a big way, and they've also got little things of Santa. Santa may be ultimately Turkish, but he's certainly not an Islamic principle.
Yes, you're right. But probably they have no clue about it.
But it is a principle of charity. It's a manifestation of charity because the idea of Santa Claus is about charitable giving, which is central to Islam.
Yes.
Yeah. So there you are. You see, I've just restored the principles,
yes,
the 5 pillars, or at least one of them.
Yes, and you combined all of the questions very beautifully.
Not the rest of your questions. You've still got a few more to go.
No, I have still questions.
Right,
just
go on.
wait. And I have a very beautiful question for you because it's about the AC grailing.
Oh,
which we talked about
yes.
yesterday.
He's not your friend. He's not the friend of Islam.
Yeah, I know.
He's written a lot of books.
Yeah, I know that. So, the process of the secularization brought significant transformation to Christianity. Why has this process been more challenging for Islam and Judaism?
Well, he thinks that monotheism is a sort of form of authoritarianism.
Yeah.
And in that, I don't think he's right. I think all religion is a form of authoritarianism. It's a form of, it's an attempt to establish order within society because no religion exists independently of society. You don't have a religion which you just do on a Sunday or a Saturday or a Friday. That is a modern fake idea. Religion has always invaded society and tried to inform society. So grailing is his.
No, it's not from the grailing. Actually, I have another question for Graham. Just
what? Who said this thing?
I don't know. It's a question. I have been reading it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
right.
no problem.
I've now forgotten what you
But
said.
let's continue. Okay, let's continue with the grailing. Actually,
Go on.
you really want to do that. Actually, AC grailing
Yeah.
argues that there was no genuine philosophical movement in Islam, but rather a translation moment. What is your perspective on this claim? Actually,
I think it's childish. It doesn't surprise me a bit, grailing at all. But I mean, it's something to do with the hair.
And he says that
no, it's childish because you could say the same thing about Jesus, and I can't remember the name of this wonderful American who actually says that the crucifixion never took place. It was a crucifixion in the sky on the moon, and that there are 6 or 7 other mystery gods who were crucified and became savior redeemers and all that sort of stuff. And the Jesus myth, which I'm sure is a perfectly good. A myth is a story you tell because you can't quite identify the fundamental truth.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
So there's a good deal of myth in early Christianity, as there's a good deal of myth in early Judaism. But you could say the same thing that Abraham didn't exist, that Moses didn't exist. And is there any evidence for the existence of Abraham or Moses or Noah? Absolutely none.
No.
But does it mean they don't exist? No, because these are projections of concepts, and those concepts are perfectly worthy.
Yeah.
And if the historical figures don't exist, it's not their purpose to be writing. Their purpose is not history.
Yes.
Their purpose is to provide a context for the religious tradition. In terms of Christianity, is what Jesus says important? Not really, because the sayings of Jesus can be paralleled almost verbatim with the various rabbinic sayings that you can find in the Talmud. So it's not the words, the ipsissima verba of Christ that are important. The Christian message is about the identification with Christ.
Yeah.
And that's a different thing entirely. The Christian message isn't even about, and Protestants will hate me here, but I don't care. The Christian message isn't even about the crucifixion. The Christian message is about the incarnation, which shows that human beings, following the fall of the Garden of Eden, human beings have the capacity to become godlike,
Yes.
to aspire to greatness.
Yes.
And that is something which you find all the way through ancient Rome and Greek mythology. You find it in Egyptian mythology. You find it. It is fundamental to Islam that we aspire to be as good as we can be.
Yes.
Now, how do you do that? You do that by following a tradition. You do that in community. You become greater in community.
Yes,
And
yes.
so the idea that Muhammad is an invention, he's not an invention. If he was an invention, that would be a very early piece of invention. You'd have to. Who invented him? I mean, I just. This is to try and demean the religion.
Yeah.
To say, oh, it's not historical.
Yeah.
No religion, none of the great religions are historical because they're not trying to write history.
Yes.
You occasionally get a historical moment. So, for example, in the New Testament, you get the we passages in the Acts of the Apostles, where you have where the pronoun changes. Modern audience is going to love that. The pronoun changes from they to we. And suddenly you've got a first-person narrative of a shipwreck.
Yes.
It's the only first-person narrative of a shipwreck in the Roman in the beginning of the Roman Empire at that time.
Yes.
And it's very interesting. But that's the only bit of historical text in the entire biblical canon. And there's nothing parallel with that in Islam at all until you get the life of the prophet. Not any evidence that Socrates existed.
Yeah, of course, but he claims that there is no philosophy because they have already had the God, which means they have already had the truth. So philosophical movement is searching for the truth. That's why they didn't philosophy. They just, translated some text from the Aristotle, and after that they published it. So what's your perspective of this sentence, of this perspective actually?
Well,
Grayling says they have the truth. The philosopher of the Islam, per-Islamic way, like Ibn Sina, Avicenna, or
no, because the only reason Islam has access to the philosopher Aristotle is because the Caliph of Baghdad sent his scholars out to go and collect all these books.
Yes,
and then translate them into common language, which is Arabic.
He created an école.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what
I can't remember what it's called. It's the Wonders, the House of Wonders or something.
Yeah,
the House of Wisdom.
Yes.
The House of Wisdom.
The House
there you
of
are.
Wisdom.
That is about 100 years after the life of the prophet.
Yeah.
So Grayling is just talking rubbish, but I mean, if you can get in print, then you have every opportunity to talk rubbish again and again. He needs an editor.
Yeah.
Who would reduce his books from this size down to this size.
Who has deep information about the
But there are plenty of authors who get up themselves. Iris Murdoch, love her to bits. She needed an editor in her last two books, I'm afraid. So the last few books that she wrote are really difficult to read. Whereas if you go back to the early books like the Sacred and Profane Love, that's a middle book, but the Sacred and Profane Love Machine is one of the best books ever written.
Yeah.
But it's been quite carefully pruned, and she did something that Grayling could learn from. She wrote a whole book, and she put it in a bottom drawer, and she started again and she rewrote it.
Whoa.
By hand. And it makes you rethink. It makes you think all the ideas. So when you're writing first time, who is it? The American man says, "Kill your darlings." She killed her darlings.
Give me a second.
Daniel Radcliffe played the part in the film.
Yes. I watched the movie, but I couldn't.
There we are. We've referenced it. Let's go on. Ask another
Jack
question.
Kerouac and the other guy.
It's the other guy.
Arthur or something.
Yeah, but there is a debate about if he actually said "kill your darlings." There are one or two other people who claim to have said that too.
Yes. Did you watch the movie?
Yeah,
it was perfect.
It's extraordinary, and it shows again how Daniel Radcliffe has has risen beyond the confines of J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Who is,
yeah.
I have so much to say about J.K. Rowling.
By the way, many people in there, they say you look like Professor Dumbledore.
Well, when I was on stage last time, yes, I did. And do I behave like Professor Dumbledore? Probably.
Yeah.
Am I going to be thrown out? Am I going to be killed before the last book? I hope not.
No. You have a very long time.
You're very kind.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue with Hadiths.
With
Hadiths.
The Hadiths. I don't.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah. Let's start with it. In Islam, Hadiths are among the most important texts transmitted through oral tradition.
Mm-hmm.
Since they were not written down in the early periods, what kind of debates has this sparked regarding their authenticity?
Well, again, we only know the Hadiths because they are written down now.
Yeah.
But the whole problem about the Hadiths is they're sectarian. I'm treading on so many
You are
toes here, aren't I?
You are doing very well.
Am I doing very well?
Yeah, you are doing very well. You're my guest.
You've got one hadith which is which is a foundation of a Sunni approach, and one hadith which is a foundation of a Shia approach.
Yeah.
Well, if these hadiths go back all the way, genuinely go back all the way to the Prophet, there would be one solid understanding. There isn't.
But it couldn't be actually.
It couldn't be because the hadiths are like the Talmud. They're debates about how does this idea enter the community? How do we interpret this? We interpret this through our lived experience. And the lived experience, by the time the hadiths are being circulated, the lived experience was already fragmented, and you get that in all the religions.
But I think
it's and the reason they exist, the reason we have these now, is because Islam is a much later development.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
What is so extraordinary is that the Book of Mormon has no hadiths or anything; it's just there, and you think, well, that's to do with printing. But before printing, you've got far more evidence of the fracturing of the traditions, which is about authority, which is about control, which is about human beings.
Yeah.
Human institutions
Yeah.
are notoriously difficult to hold together beyond a few years.
Yeah, but it's very interesting actually. After Muhammad dies, Abu Bakr, one of the half, tried to gather all of the text and create a book, Quran. But after Muhammad dies, so many years later, they tried to gather all of the sentences of the Muhammad.
Yes.
So,
the life of the Prophet.
Yeah. What's the point? I mean,
it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same genesis as Christianity. It's just the period of time before people realize we need this written down.
Yes.
Is smaller. And of course the movement is bigger, is very quickly enormous. Islam develops very fast.
Yes.
And sweeps through the Arabic-speaking world.
Yeah.
Because it's got a common language.
Yeah.
And Christianity could have done that, but there was a lot of competition.
Yes.
And Christianity, of course, had the advantage of a common language, which is Greek.
Greek. The Christianity has many Bibles, New Testaments, actually.
Well, it has many books. The Bible simply means a library.
Yes.
Biblos.
That's true. But do you know anything common sense in Islam for this subject? I mean, do we have many Qurans, or let's talk about it? Yeah, I really want to know. Have you ever heard it?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. I've heard about texts which are disputed.
Really?
Yes, but I'm not going to talk about it. The fatwas have been issued for more than that.
So
I'm not going to get into that one.
My career, by the way.
but there are many hadiths, of course. You're so naughty.
I don't know. I just want to ask this question because we need
Scholarship will develop.
Yes,
there will be.
we have to
Now
talk
is
it.
not the time. Now is not the time to be developing. And the tools which were developed to start analysing the Bible, the book, the Iliad, and the Odyssey, are not appropriate to the Quran. But scholarship is appropriate to the Quran even now. It's just not those questions. Those questions I think are inappropriate because they don't lead anywhere. They don't lead anywhere even with the Bible.
Yeah.
Who cares who wrote the first version of the Gospels?
Yes,
Who cares whether there's an E source or a J source in Genesis?
Yeah.
The P source and the D source are quite interesting. But you know, once you do this, the only person this benefits, this sort of textual analysis, which is interesting, the only person it benefits is the teacher who wants to see which student has cheated and which student has copied someone else. And it's immediately obvious. Yeah, if you spend your time trying to work out the minutiae of who might have taken that word from there, and you're looking at this the synoptic gospels placed side by side, it's fascinating looking at the words which appear in the same text, in the same version of the text, and how they've been changed.
Yeah.
And you can think, well, which one? But you can argue it in all directions. It's just an interesting. It's an interesting discussion. It's not taking you anywhere because in the end, that's not the issue about the tradition. The tradition is about how the community uses that text. And if you take that conclusion, your question is absurd. Let's put you in your place.
Okay. Yes, we need to talk it later, actually. But
the Hadiths, I will go anywhere with the Hadiths because I think the Hadiths and some of these secondary writings are clearly there's some clear troublemakers.
Yes.
Who are putting forward ideas and some of the nastiness is immediately obvious. How do you interpret this word in the Quran, and suddenly you're interpreting it in a very specific legal way, and that's not what's in the Quran.
Yeah. And it has. I mean, some hadiths have a point, which is against the Quran surahs.
Yes.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Absolutely. And you're saying that, and I'm suddenly thinking, I have an example, and now I can't think what that example is. It's getting late.
Yeah, but
my mind is turning into jelly.
No, you will.
I will remember.
You will remember
maybe.
it after we shut down the cameras. Actually, okay. Okay. And a question for you.
That's l'esprit d'escalier. L'esprit d'escalier is when you come out of a French salon, and you're going down the stairs to the street and say, "Oh, I wish I'd said that."
Yes.
You know, Oscar Wilde said that, and his friends said, "Oh, you will, Oscar."
Yes.